Before I introduce the president of the American Bar Association, I would like to briefly offer some thanks. To help make this program possible, we are pleased to have the support of our returning sponsor, Baylor Law School. We truly thank the law school for its commitment and vital support of the work in presenting the Silver Gavel Awards. I am now pleased to welcome ABA President Paulette Brown. Paulette is a partner and co-chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee of the Locklord Law Firm in Morristown, New Jersey, and she's the first woman of color to serve as president of the American Bar Association in its 137-year history.
It is really an honor to be here this evening. The Silver Gavel Awards, as you no doubt know, recognize outstanding efforts in media and the arts to foster the American public's understanding of the law, legal issues, and our legal institutions. The Silver Gavel Awards are one of our association's most cherished and significant annual traditions.
The 2016 Gavel Award honorable mention for documentaries goes to The Hunting Ground, Chain Camera Pictures.
I want in particular with this award to give a shout out and thanks to one of the most audacious and remarkable women I've ever had the privilege of meeting, and you just saw her, Pamila Willingham, an African-American woman who dared speak on camera, not for self-aggrandizement or acclaim, as is so ubiquitous in our TV reality days, but simply to protect others from coming to harm. Given the conversations our country is currently so importantly engaged in, I mention that she is African American, as I cannot tell you the number of men and women of color who spoke with us off camera, but not on. So fearful were they of retribution and reprisal, and so weary of fighting so many other daily battles that they felt they didn't have the strength or ability to speak out on this one. After appearing in our film, Pamila, not surprisingly, received a considerable amount of vicious blowback and vitriol. Again, not an accident that the most prominent African-American woman featured in our film was one of the persons who was most prominently and wrongly attacked. But what's surprising is that leading the charge was 19 of her Harvard law professors, who rather than attack her in order to protect their privilege and reputation, should instead have been thanking her for her courage and leadership and vowing to do better. Thank you to the American Bar Association for giving these films and voices like Pamila's the significant and game-changing recognition they deserve. We accept this award on behalf of all those who have suffered these crimes and are so deeply grateful to be receiving it, because you have let them know they are finally believed, supported, and no longer invisible. Thank you.
The 2016 honorable mention for books goes to Untrodden Ground, How Presidents Interpret the Constitution, the University of Chicago Press. Author Harold Bruff regrets that he's unable to attend in person. We accept the Silver Gavel on his behalf and ask you to join in congratulating him and his publisher, the University of Chicago Press. The 2016 Gavel Honorable Mention for Newspapers goes to Betrayed by the Badge, the Associated Press.
We spent a year going state to state and fighting for the information that would allow us to quantify what we thought was a simple question, which is how often crimes such as these are perpetrated against citizens around the country. It turned out to be a much more difficult question than we anticipated. We wouldn't have been able to effectively tell the story without some brave women who had been victimized by officers sharing what they'd been through with us. So especially myself and my colleagues want to thank them, and we want to thank all of you. Thank you.
The 2016 Silver Gavel Award for Books goes to Speak Now, Marriage Equality on Trial, the Crown Publishing Group.
Was deeply personal that law has had such an indelible positive effect on my own life that I can't see it as anything but one of the loftiest and most powerful discourses that are available to us in American society. When I think back to 1991, I was struggling to come to terms right after I graduated from college with the fact that I was gay. The only consistent foray I made from my rooms was to go to the college chapel, where I prayed to gods I wasn't even sure I believed in, for conversion to heterosexuality, because that was the only way I thought I could have a decent life. Not only a profession, that was actually less important to me, but to have a family, right? So now if we flash forward to the year 2016, I now have a wonderful husband who is here with me today, and we have 2 beautiful children, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And this was a change that law wrought. The law took something that was completely unimaginable and made it ultimately inevitable. So thank you.
The 2016 Silver Gavel Award for Documentaries goes to Making a Murderer, Synthesis Films for Netflix.
Through the years, as you might imagine, we spoke to so many lawyers in making this film, and over we heard about how easy it is for people to discount the problems in our criminal justice system and to think, well, we've got the best system in the world, and there might be some problems, but then they would say, but if a family member or if you yourself ever got pulled in, the problems would become crystal clear in a second, and you would understand what was going on. And so we are just incredibly honored that we were able to document that experience and to try to take people on that journey and hope that, at the end of that journey, they have a deeper understanding, and through that, hopefully, we can make some progress. So thank you.
The 2016 Silver Gavel Award for Other Media goes to Law, Justice, and the Death of Michael Brown, St. Louis Public Radio.
I've been a reporter a really long time, and in those almost 50 years, Ferguson was the biggest story that I think I've ever written about. This is really a product of the new landscape of journalism that's emerged from the ashes of the past decade. The St. Louis Beacon was started by some of us who left the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. It then merged with St. Louis Public Radio. I think the people who really deserve a lot of credit for that are Tim Eby, who is the general manager at St. Louis Public Radio, and my wife, Margaret, who was the editor of the St. Louis Beacon. And this created a newsroom that had the heft to be able to take on this story. And my stories were just a small part of the really terrific coverage that St. Louis Public Radio provided. And finally, thanks to the ABA.
The 2016 Silver Gavel Award for Radio goes to Bench Press, New York Public Radio.
Clearly, the Supreme Court is one of the 3 major governmental institutions that we have, and it is so inscrutable, we think it should be scrutable. And we just did the best we could to shed light on not only the court's operations, but on its relationship with the media that tries hard, but perhaps not hard enough to cover it. On behalf of On the Media, on behalf of Brooke and Katya Rogers, our executive producer, our entire set of producers, including Alana Casanova-Burgess, who really was the brains behind this operation, endless gratitude. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.
And now to the 2016 Silver Gavel Award for Television goes to Tough Love, Ewing Pictures for American Documentary POV.
I have to say thank you so much to Hannah, Philly, and Patrick, the parents in the film. If it wasn't for them, we would have no idea just the number of challenges that parents face who really love their kids but are just trying to figure out the best way to be a parent while dealing with many, many other issues that are going on in their lives. So thank you so much for this award. We're very happy to be here, and we're very honored to get this. Thank you.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce our featured speaker and my long-term friend since the 80s. Sorry, I had to tell it. Judge Roger Gregory. Thank you so much.
Speak now. What gripped me the most, Professor, the line where you said that you talk about the book, that people can live under the truth of trials before we can ask them to live up to it. That's a powerful, what a phrasing. That's what trials do. Even though they can be ugly, they can be mean-spirited, but they are catharsis. They give us a chance to test these ideals in an open court. Sometimes it's jurors of your peer or it's an impartial judge. It gives us the opportunity, and sometimes we can live with that truth even though we don't live up to it.